So I'll start out, as Gary said, talking a little bit about change management. So is there anybody in here that's familiar with the, is it the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean? No? Good. Yeah. The carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean. So as a young lady who came home one afternoon and she was in tears, and she came to talk to her mother who was sitting there baking in the kitchen, and she was crying about the things that were going on in her life, and she was absolutely miserable at life, miserable in her relationships, miserable. Things were just going wrong, and she hated her job, she hated what was going on. And her mother was sitting there, was up at the stove, and she was cooking, and she put 3 different pots of water on to boil. And she listened to her daughter as she sat down at the table, sobbing and crying and talking about how bad things were at life and how bad things were at the job. And the mother just kept boiling this water, and she turned around, she took the 3 different pots of water, and she put them down on the table, and she took out a carrot, and she put it in one, she put an egg, and put it in the other, and she took out some coffee beans and put them in the last. And she looked at her daughter, and she said, "What do you want to be?" The daughter didn't know what she was talking about, just been sitting there sobbing and crying and talking about the things that were going on in her life. She said, "What do you mean, what do I want to be? What do I want to be when I grow up? What do you mean, what do I want to be?" And her mother said, "You want to be a carrot, an egg, or a coffee bean?" She said, "Because right now you're in hot water." She said, "I can see that." She said, "You can be like the carrot. The carrot started out really solid and really strong, and when I put it in the hot water, it became soft. Is that what you want to be?" And the daughter said, "No." And she said, "Or you could be like the egg." She said, "The egg, I put that in the water. Now when I take it out, it's hard. Is that how you want to be? Do you want to be soft? Do you want to have a hard heart? How do you want to be?" And the daughter said, "I don't want to be either one of those." And what about the coffee bean? And the mother took the coffee, she picked up the pot, she strained it out, she put it in the glass. She said, "The carrot was affected by the hot water. It became soft. The egg was affected by the hot water. It became hard and unyielding. The coffee bean changed its environment, changed its culture into something that you want to drink." She said, "Do you want to become hard? Do you want to become soft? Or do you want to change your environment? You can change the environment that you're in." As Gary mentioned, Zylog was acquired Brain Hunter. People may be familiar with the name of Brain Hunter, a very proud organization in Canada, at times ranked number 2 or 3 in terms of Canadian IT staffing firms. It had grown very rapidly over a period of years. It grew through a series of acquisitions, which is rather important for how we deal, what we had to deal with our change management. So Brain Hunter had grown through a series of acquisitions, acquiring different companies and getting bigger and bigger as the years went by, and being a very respected organization here in Ottawa, working with the federal government and around Canada in the staffing arena. Right? In 2007 came along, and there were a lot of things that changed in the economy in 2007, and Brain Hunter was one of those organizations that was affected by the economic change. And they were affected by other things that were going on in the industry and other things that were happening around in Ottawa. And by 2009, Brain Hunter had filed for bankruptcy. And that's when Zylog came along. Zylog, among other organizations, bid for Brain Hunter. Okay. Now, if you put yourself in the position or the place of all of those people that were in Brain Hunter during all of those years and all of that time, there were a lot of people that were in during the heyday when business was going great, and up to 2007 when business was strong, and in 2008, 2009 when the company had been turned around financially and people were struggling, and by the end of 2009 people wondering from week to week, am I going to get my paycheck? And I have contractors to take care of and people out there in staffing, are they going to get paid? That's a very difficult change for any organization to go through. So, a little bit before that, though, I also want to give a lot of credit to a very wonderful person who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. She was in HR in Brain Hunter. She was somebody that had to deal with all of those emotions that go along with people wondering if they're going to have a job. Needless to say, there's a lot of stress. There were a lot of people that were on stress leave, and so for somebody in HR, there was a lot to deal with when you didn't know whether or not you're going to have a job, executives fighting with one another, people fighting with one another, very high stress environment. You can imagine what that was like to deal with, right? And then having this outside company come in and have this stranger, this, now I will confess here tonight, somebody that's coming up from California, right? to come and meet with you to acquire your organization. And she did something that was very, very brave. Because this was a very hostile, non-hostile takeover, since one of the people in the organization at that time was also bidding to buy it. He didn't want us in the building, didn't want us to meet anybody. And this brave young lady who was in HR and who was taking care of all of the people that worked there through that very difficult period of bankruptcy and people being fearful for their jobs, when she found out that we were acquiring the company, she did something else that was very brave, because they weren't allowed to talk to me. Nobody was allowed to talk to me. And I have something that I brought here with me tonight, a prop, right? So if anybody doesn't know what this is, it's a little USB stick. And actually, I'm watching the people, my colleagues here from Zylog in Ottawa, who are wondering what this is, right? So you're going to find out something you didn't know before. This USB stick contained the names and the payroll of all the individuals in the organization. I felt like I was on Mission Impossible. Right? I had to go to a coffee shop. I felt like I should be dangling from strings coming down. As I get this USB stick, and coincidentally, I was going on a flight to London that very afternoon. I was thinking, if they catch me with this. And the reason that she gave it to me with the names and all the information of the people on there is that she had found out that we won the bid, and we wanted to make job offers to all of the individuals in the organization, and we couldn't because we didn't even know their names. Right? So this brave individual in HR put that information on a USB stick, snuck it to me in a coffee shop, so that we could put together Word documents and offers that we passed back through lawyers to go back through somebody else to put out job offers to all of these individuals in Zylog, almost all. So 95% of the individuals made job offers to. There were a few people that we didn't, but the vast majority of the people we made job offers to bring on board. And the response, now remember, we weren't there. We don't know these people. Try change management when you can't even talk to somebody. Right? Didn't know these people, but that brave young lady in HR was the one who brought all this forward, and she collected all of these job offers and passed them to the people who were in Ottawa. Right? We hadn't even met yet. Right? Passed them to all the people here, and I started to hear feedback, not directly, because I didn't know anybody, but indirectly started to hear feedback. I don't know if I want to work for this company. I don't know who they are. What's a Zylog? Maybe I'm better off getting out now.